Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin.
Hey, folks, and welcome to Weekend Update here on the Shills, where we've got a little of this and a little of that and some of this, and wow, that happened too, coming at you live right now. We got Commander McMillan in with us. How's it going, Commander?
Going great.
Excellent. We got Duncan on remote location. How's it going?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here at the front line of the war zone.
Maybe not quite, but yeah, sometimes it seems that way, doesn't it? He is visiting relatives. Yeah. So we're going to start right off here with a little story about everybody's favorite Mr. War. We've got Pete Hegseth in the news because he's getting investigated some. And Commander, you got to say you can't be surprised about this at all, right?
I've been predicting this for quite a while.
Yeah. And it sounds like there's some good bipartisan support here as well. Right. So I got a little bit here. It's a rare instance of bipartisanism right now, really. But Republican chaired committees in the House and Senate have both announced that they're launching inquiries into an explosive Washington Post report. You know, the one, kill them all, as Hegseth reportedly said, kill everybody. And that there is.
It sound like that's a bad thing.
Yeah. The idea of being out shooting boats and stuff over drugs is one thing, but to spin around and make a second shot to make sure you've properly killed everybody, how many things does that violate, Commander?
Leave no witnesses.
That's just,
seriously, that really what it amounts to.
Yeah.
Yeah, he knew he was committing an illegal act by attacking the boats in the first place. And then to ensure that he wouldn't get caught out, it was, kill all the survivors. And you'll notice that the time they did pick up survivors, how surprisingly quickly those survivors were repatriated to Venezuela.
Yeah. Yeah, the story.
Don't want anybody interviewing them. Don't want anybody talking to them. No controversial statements about, these are just fishermen, not drug smugglers. No, Can't have that.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a quote here. This was put out a joint statement from the House Armed Services Committee. We take seriously the reports of follow-on strikes on boats alleged to be ferrying narcotics in the Southcom region and are taking bipartisan action to gather a full accounting of the operation in question. It continues. The committee has directed inquiries to the, in square brackets, Department of Defense, and we will be conducting vigorous oversight to determine the facts related to these circumstances. If what has been reported is accurate, here's Mark Kelly, and we all know Mark Kelly is one of those that stood up and said, do not follow illegal orders because you are constitutionally obliged not to, or, you know, by the different laws and rules and stuff, the books. So here,
how dare you say such a thing? We should hang the man.
yeah, exactly. You know, he's only lived his entire life for his country, but yes, let's hang him over a video, right?
I hear he's already well hung.
As I keep saying, anytime they make an accusation, it's essentially an admission of guilt by this administration.
I couldn't agree more. So here's what the great Senator Mark Kelly, as I will now call him, if what has been reported is accurate, I have serious concerns about anybody in that chain of command stepping over a line that they should never step over, Kelly said. Yeah. We are not Russia. We are not Iraq. We hold ourselves to a very high standard of professionalism. I think
unless you're Republican, in which case, professionalism is suggestive at best.
Yeah, very much so. Here, I've got a great one I got to put up. Alchemist just threw that one at me. The idea that the Hegseth group and DOJ and whatnot would pick a group that could use somebody like Kelly as a figurehead for their group, somebody who's done tours of duty, has had missiles basically shoot down his jet and this and that. He's been to the freaking space station. You couldn't pick a worse person to try to make look bad.
But there's a long history of them doing that. You know, the famous swift boating of, Christ, what was his name? The candidate. I can't think of it right now, but the guy served 2 tours in Vietnam, was decorated as being the, officer in charge of a small patrol boat on the Mekong Delta and everything. And immediately, as soon as he announced his candidacy, they went out and drummed up all this, war crimes. Oh, he lied, didn't really get those awards, et cetera, et cetera. And yet, anytime you look at these Republicans, so many of them, it's like, well, what was your job when you were on active duty? Well, I handed out balls at the gym, or I was a press officer and I wrote press releases, and I was back at the headquarters and never anywhere within 100 miles of the front line, or that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So I am interested to see where they're going to keep this going, because, they're going at a very, very solid group of people. Yeah. Right. This is not just your average person that, runs for government and so on. These are lifelong, service to their country folk. Hegseth is just a keg drinking loser.
Well, I'm pretty sure now this investigation into Hegseth and his potential war crimes, they're just going to drop that like, yesterday's bad fish.
Yeah, Bondi will just throw it in the garbage and say nothing to see here.
Yeah.
Presidential pardon being signed in 4, 3, 2.
Exactly. Let's see here. I don't want to.
If they gave Hegseth a presidential pardon, that's an admission of guilt.
Yeah, I would have to agree there, right? Very much so. Sorry. I just had something that happened there. Commander, would you like to take turn 2 and take us around the globe for another one of your stories?
Sure. So, as a lead into this, I'm going to ask you a question, and we'll see if you can get the answer correct. I'll ask both of you. What is the most populous Muslim country in the world?
Arkansas, Britain, is Islamistan. Go on, which one? Indonesia.
That's correct. Indonesia, number 1 with
Wow.
242 million people.
I would have gone with India right off. I figured this had to be a trick question.
India is number 3 with 200 million. And remember, it's not the primary religion in India. That's
right.
Hinduism.
Yeah.
Number 2 is Pakistan with 240. In fact, you don't even get into Arab nations, which everybody associates with Islam.
Yeah.
Until quite a ways down the list.
Yeah.
Anyway, Indonesia, I figure, as the most populous Muslim nation in the world, it deserves to get its time in the proverbial sun. So I'm going to talk about the almost end of the first year of the current new president. I'm going to get the name wrong, so give me a moment. I got to phonetically sound this out. Prabowo Subianto. So anyway.
Sounds like a good booze.
Yeah, Prabowo is a retired general, former commander of the National Strategic Reserve of Indonesia. He was discharged from the military in 2003, I believe, after allegations of human rights abuses. And he's currently banned from entry into the U.S. because of that. However, he has visited the U.S. on several occasions since then, including 2020, to negotiate arms sales from U.S. defense industry to his nation. Anyway, in 2008, he founded the Gerindra Party. He had 4 unsuccessful attempts running as a candidate for presidency, and finally won last year, 2024, with a 59% majority. Okay. He is the oldest president in Indonesia's history. He was the Minister of Defense under a coalition government with the previous president, Joko Widodo, from 2019 to 2024, which kind of makes sense given his senior military rank and such. Mm-hmm. So Prabowo has stated that he is a Muslim nationalist, but he also admits that his knowledge of Islam is insufficient and that he could not read the Quran fluently if required to. Understand the Quran is in Arabic, not the Indonesian language.
Yeah.
He is a populist figure, similar to somebody we all know and love in this country. Yeah. And he tries to resonate with the lower classes while simultaneously projecting a personal upper class sophistication.
I'm sorry, is this coming from the same playbook, Commander? Because I'm seeing...
Yeah. Anyway, there's an interesting anecdote that shows this. So during a speech, or not a speech, but an interview, he launched into this long list of posh, exotic, elite hotels that are in Jakarta, that he's stayed at and such, and just goes down the names. And then after he finishes that, stops, kind of catches himself and says, yes, and many of you who are, followers of me probably have never been in, let alone can pronounce the names of these fabulous hotels. In other words, just throw a little gilding on it and everything is fine.
Sorry, plebs.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
plebs.
Did you say his name started with a T?
T? No.
It's just Trump. How do you say it? It's just
Bongo. His name was.
That's kind of rude. I'm sorry, but I had tried to make an effort to pronounce names of foreign leaders properly because it's disrespecting them if you just say Ongo Bongo or something.
I usually go with the economic minister just to make it easy on myself or whatever it is. But anyway, continue.
So anyway, what's interesting is that he is married to the former president Suharto, who is rather infamous, Suharto's daughter. And Prabowo is criticized for having an authoritarian style of rule. And apparently, I know this will come as a huge shock to many of you, but he has a good relationship with the Orange God King in this country.
Okay.
Hang on. So, does he think? Does Prabowo think he's got a good relationship, or is there a good relationship?
Yeah, it's supposedly mutual. Yeah, supposedly.
Okay, let me ask you this one. Do you think he can remember his name?
Knowing the Orange God King, I suspect he can't remember ever having met the guy.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, let's be honest here.
Yeah. If it didn't happen on a golf course, he can't remember.
Yeah, exactly. If you're not playing golf, who are you? So Prabowo has been something of a controversial figure. He referred to the People's Republic of China as a friendly nation, even after People's Liberation Army Navy ships violated Indonesian territorial waters on several occasions.
Wow.
During his tenure as, a senior defense official and the Minister of Defense. He proposed a multi-point Russian-Ukrainian peace plan back in 23, which was enthusiastically accepted by the Russians, but predictably rejected by Ukraine and the EU.
So was that one of those peace plans where Russia gets everything, Ukraine gets fuck all?
No, not anything so simplistic.
Yeah.
Requires careful territorial adjustments to reflect the proper ownership of certain contested provinces.
I figured you were going to say they had to hand over Ukraine, invade Belarus, and hand that over as well.
Yeah, probably. Anyway, he's criticized Western nations for their failure to condemn Israel for the war in Gaza. So that gives you some idea of his controversial stuff. Since his inauguration, he vowed to address widespread corruption and focus on Indonesia's self-sufficiency via socialist, in quotes, socialist economic reforms. This will include such things as promoting domestic businesses over foreign investment. He announced the largest ministerial cabinet in Indonesia's history, which consisted of 48 ministers and 55 deputy ministers of government offices, including retaining some figures from the previous Widodo administration.
So nobody could block it.
If you haven't gathered, Indonesia is one of those countries where pretty much the same political party, although under different names, has kind of been in charge of the country since they gained independence from the Netherlands.
It's like Nashville. The artists change, but the songwriters stay the same.
Exactly. Anyway, he attended the St. Petersburg, that's in Russia, folks, St. Petersburg International Economic Forum, and asserted during that for the past 30 years, we have seen neoliberal free market thinking dominate, yet most Indonesians have not enjoyed equal opportunities under those paradigms. Anyway,
that sounds conveniently good, yet probably laced in some untruth. Like,
you think?
Like bad meat and moldy bread. But hey, the peanut butter's fresh.
it's more along the lines of, I don't want foreign investment. So where's the capital going to come from to renovate all these domestic businesses? Because Indonesia is not a particularly wealthy country.
Yeah.
And the reason he likes that idea is because, as president, he controls the government purse strings and thereby can dictate who gets, the right thinking people get the government money to help finance their business.
So yeah, when you said all this government change, to me it sounded like stacking the deck, and this very much.
No, I would never suggest such a untoward behavior.
Yeah, not without a new ballroom. That is
exactly. Got to have a new ballroom. Anyway, since taking office, he's initiated a free meals program for school children, discounted electricity for disadvantaged communities, and has allegedly redirected roughly 6% of all government funding to social programs using stringent deficit control and tax reform paradigm to drain government reserve funds, hoping to thereby invigorate domestic consumption by promoting financial sector lending. Now, if that doesn't sound like economic doublespeak gobbledygook to you, I don't know what does.
It sounds good.
Yes, it does, doesn't it?
I'm confused.
yeah.
He signed off on a law that wrote off bad debt for small and medium-sized businesses in the fields of agriculture and fisheries, which is a major sector in Indonesia.
Indonesia is all about like palm oil production and stuff. Isn't that one of their things?
It doesn't have a lot of heavy industry to it. So agriculture and fisheries are big businesses there. And most of it is small time, Uncle Bob and I bought a new outboard motor for our canoe, so we're the new fishing industry for our village.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm not saying that facetiously. I'm not trying to denigrate that. That is a big deal for people who live on that kind of near subsistence level economy. So, if he is indeed redirecting funds to those people, it's a good thing for Indonesian people.
Absolutely. You reinvest in those markets that do you well and stuff so that you have extra for other and stuff. And I mean, that's just natural growth, right?
Yeah. Now, hand in glove with that, he's expanded cooperation for domestic arms production ventures with countries like France, Pakistan, and Turkey. And he canceled aircraft orders for advanced fighters from the People's Republic of China. So it looks like he's trying to boost industrial growth, but primarily in the defense sector. Of course, that's the sector he's most familiar with, so that's not terribly surprising.
And being familiar with that sector, there's probably more opportunity for grease on deals and so on. Side plays.
You can also use your contacts that you had as the Minister of Defense and as the commander of the Indonesian military's Central Reserves.
Mm-hmm.
Those kind of business contacts that you made in those jobs will probably do you well in promoting that kind of business.
Yeah, when you know people, more doors open, right?
Perhaps the most significantly controversial thing he has proposed is the relaxing of laws to allow active serving military officers to concurrently serve as the head of government district or departments and bureaus. That's still being argued.
Okay.
But the reason I point this out as a potential problem area is that when you've been in a long-serving military or military-related career like his, you've built up contacts and friends of a like mind within that organization. And so if you want to stack the deck in government so that people who like you and think like you are the ones that are running everything, it's, a very, I won't go so far as to say totalitarian, but it's a very authoritarian type of state where everybody is a friend of the big man at the top.
Yeah. What are they called? Republic. It just sounds very similar to what's going on in quite a few places in the world right now. Yeah. We've got a group of hardcore righties that are trying their best to do this kind of stuff. They stopped showing up and arguing and being all forceful at meetings and stuff, and now they're worming their way in quietly to try to get voted in, and then they turn on the taps and start being jerks and so on.
Yeah. And I think that's a good point, is that you'll notice that many of the stories I've covered recently during our Sunday sessions have been along those lines, where you have governments that are slowly leaning and edging further and further in the authoritarian direction.
Yes.
And it's almost a global trend in many ways. And you're seeing a lot of pushback, particularly with these, like, the Gen Z uprisings that are occurring in some of the countries. The people getting fed up about it and trying to push back, and they're being stamped down pretty damned hard in many of the cases.
Yeah.
Okay, so I won't go so far as to say this is, the boom generation holding on for dear life to its reins of power before it finally has to relinquish them. But there's probably a little bit of that going on.
Yeah. I would also say to these...
Remember, as I pointed out in the introduction about this guy, he is the oldest president in Indonesia's history.
Yeah. That's...
How old is he? So how old is he? 36.
Yeah, right. 73.
Oh,
okay.
Wow.
They got nothing on the US of A.
That's right. That's probably why Trump likes him, because he's a young admirer looking up at him.
Yeah. He likes those young kids.
Yeah, we've heard. Yeah, Trump likes him young.
Yeah. So, I wanted to flip to a story that I heard. Here's the thing. There's quite a few stories coming out right now. Ford has just a little while ago filed patents so that while you're driving your Ford automobile, advertisements for things that are around you could pop up on your big center console, like, there's a sale at Pet Value or whatever, right?
As if we didn't need more distracted drivers on the highway.
Oh, it gets worse, Commander. Subaru cars. It turns out if you're one of the lucky owners of a new Subaru, you get a de facto subscription to Sirius FM radio. But when that subscription ends, you will get annoying pop-ups that take over the entire center thing, the screen, saying, your subscription ended. Would you like to renew it? And the only way to get rid of it is to sign up to Sirius, so then you can get into the settings to turn it off.
Well, it could crash the car.
Yeah. So now you've also got... Well, that's I just used a thing like that. But now there's also Jeep, the new Grand Cherokee. Not only is it flawed in many ways, and I mean, it's a seriously flawed vehicle. If you've got one on lease, get that fucking thing back and get something else. Not a Range Rover, because I mean, you just be in the same place. But you know what I mean? It's a nightmare. But Jeep is doing it now too, Stellantis, because they're in such dire straits right now. They can barely keep that company afloat. They're screwed up everything. So I keep seeing in the comments about things like this that the American auto industry, the government, should step in and start relaxing the rules. Let the new Chinese EV companies like BYD and stuff in, and let the more natural market forces sort things out and start getting prices down, because some of these Chinese EVs are pretty inexpensive for what you get.
Economic Darwinism.
Yeah, I mean, Commander, these people commenting are not taking into account at all the market in China for EVs and how these companies are so backed by the state that them bringing these cars over here is not helping to fix the situation at all. It's a very, very bad idea. You know, the idea that the cars are cheaper and therefore would the market, you know, competitive forces would help bring some prices down. You know, in America, the average new car price is now over $50,000. $50,000. And I can't help but say, all of these new cars, they're tracking your information. When you connect your phone, they're stealing the information from that. They're selling it to your insurance companies, to advertisers and whatnot. They're double and triple dipping. They're trying to get us to pay subscriptions for things and stuff. So I understand people being frustrated, but opening to China, which is an unfair, imbalanced market that's literally about to implode, is not the answer.
Yep, so true. I remember when I was a junior officer, what a big deal it was to finally go out and buy my first car, you know. Up until then, I've been driving the old parents' cast-off station wagon. It was literally falling apart.
Yeah.
No, I mean, to the point where if I wanted to start the engine, I had to open the hood and prop open the air intake to get the engine to start. Yeah, that's how bad it was.
Vapor locking.
It was a big deal.
Yeah.
And yet I know people in the current generation who not only don't have a car, have no intention of ever acquiring one.
Yeah.
Because it's so priced out of reach, you know, and when you add on, you know, college debt and anything else that goes, you know, the increased costs of renting an apartment or buying groceries or everything, who the fuck can afford the stuff?
Yeah, it's out of
and you'd think that at some point somebody would sit down in Detroit and go, what if we produced a car that was cheap and reliable? We'd get all those people who currently
like the founder of the fucking company. You know, just like Henry Ford himself did, make an everyman car.
He raised wages for his workers so they could afford those cars, and we can't have that happening.
Communist bastard!
Yeah, but no Jews.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, he was a screwed up human being, but
he certainly was, yeah.
Yeah. If you don't know what we're talking about, look up Henry Ford. I mean, he tried to make a whole community and stuff, and he had people going around peeking in windows of his higher ups and stuff in the company, and to make sure that you led a clean life. Oh yeah. You know,
he's mad as a hat. But then it's, you know, so is Elon Musk.
We won't say anything about his blatant racism.
Oh God, man.
I didn't.
Oh yeah. But this is the thing. The auto industry, especially the big three in America, have screwed this up, but it's also partially the rules of America. Like, why do you think everybody in America drives big SUVs and big pickup trucks? Because they get less gas guzzler taxes and stuff because they're trucks, and trucks aren't for regular transportation. That's how the rules are.
I think it's even more insidious than that.
Yeah, it is. It's ridiculous.
I think what's happened is that for a certain sector of the economy, and I'm referring specifically to middle and below class males, particularly those who suffer from small extension syndrome.
Yeah, tiny
you've
penis.
got to have that goddamn giant, freaking huge pickup.
Yeah.
You know, your work is as the assistant manager at a paint store or something.
Yeah.
You never actually haul anything in the pickup truck. It's as clean in the back now as the day you bought it.
Yeah.
But by God, the fact that you're driving that big giant ass pickup, which you don't really need, you could be doing just fine in a sedan or even an economy car. No, the big ass pickup, it exemplifies your maleness.
Yeah.
Well, as a driver of a massive 200 series Land Cruiser, I do feel like my penis is a slightly larger than it was. Not much, but slightly.
That's my case. Not much, but it did get large.
Yeah, but you Europeans use centimeters, not inches, so they all matter, right?
The only problem is my penis only gets larger when I start the engine.
Yeah. I only get stiff on full throttle, baby.
The other day when we were at one of those No Kings anti-Trump protests, some jackass with his huge American flag and his Trump Forever 2028 stickers on his car and everything goes by. He's yelling obscenities at us. And my son, who's standing next to me, yells out at the top of his lungs, "Sorry to hear about your tiny penis." He didn't come back around to, repeat the performance. That'd be kinda nice.
Yeah. I mean, personally, you can have a small car and you can have a smaller engine, but it all feels sporty and fun. You go around the corner when you're driving out in the country somewhere and there's a deer standing in the road, you can just drive around it instead of going all crazy in your big goddamn cumbersome thing. I mean, my car's barely bigger than a couch and a love seat in a box in your goddamn driveway. And I get great gas mileage and all that shit. And I just don't understand having this big, unbelievably,
America has this bizarre fetishization of the automobile.
Yes.
I don't think we're ever going to quite get rid of it. It's just
America.
part of who we are.
It wasn't too many years ago when you had the big land yachts.
Yeah, well, that's just it. When the land yachts and all that stuff got taken away from America after the fuel crisis and all that and the emissions thing, and you guys had to compete with like Japan and stuff with the car market, every American hated going to the dealership and seeing the Chrysler LeBaron and all those little fucking cars, man. And I think the dawn of the SUV and truck age is exactly what almost every American wanted anyway.
Well, in a lot of ways, I think one of the reasons it's so popular right now, at least within that certain market demographic, is because it harkens back to an earlier era when, everything was male dominated. Women couldn't have their own credit cards or bank accounts
or opinions.
Too busy.
And it's that kind of, oh yes, the big truck. It harkens back to that earlier era of when things were right.
It's almost like going back to the pioneer days of driving the wagon across the West.
Yeah. You circled the Ford F-150s whenever the Native Americans came by and were begging for gas. Anyway, moving right along.
Yeah.
The thing is, there are some people who are trying to make headways into building cheaper cars, more affordable cars. But the problem is they're always just like built to the cusp of just the edge of engineering that makes them work.
Actually,
they don't engineer them to be good for like 30 years.
No, not even 10.
Yeah.
It's not just that. It's also that I don't think that they put a lot of thought into the ergonomics and comfort of said vehicles because they really are kind of cramped. I mean, I'm not what I would consider a tall individual, but some of these smaller cars, it really is uncomfortable to get in the damn thing.
You know what I said? I said this to Dick on a show the other day. I said to him, you start the car with the seat. Start with the seat.
Yeah.
Make sure the seat is comfortable. You can just sit in it for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah.
Then build the car around it.
Yeah.
The seat should not be the last thought.
No,
in the side of an automobile.
The cabin should be first, right? But here's the thing, Dunk. You were talking about engineering there. We used to have people working in engineering to make things better and better and better. Now, half of that money is spent on software dickheads to make the cars seem fancier when it's just, you don't have to really engineer metal and parts and all that stuff. And then they put things like...
I do not need the console talking to me about,
Yeah.
Dear Lord, no. But then they waste time on things like lane assist and stuff. If somebody's driving a car and they need lane assist, I don't want them on the roads with me.
True that.
Right? And it's all wasted time now, where the real engineering is actually spent on making the car not last 250,000 miles anymore. They want them dead at the end of the lease. They don't want a used car market. This is what's truly going on.
Now, Commander will know about this. How do they do lane assist on boats? They chuck tires over the side of it. So that's what you do with future cars.
You go out on the bridge wing and you look in that direction. You say, gosh, there's nobody there. Maybe it's safe to turn to starboard.
Yeah, you have port and starboard indicators. That will confuse people.
Yeah.
Actually, they do.
Yeah.
Every ship is required to have a red light and a green light.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you look at the ship, you know what aspect you're looking at. Yep, that's his left side. I can tell because there's a red light showing.
Yeah. Totally true, man. Totally true. What are we at here for time? Yeah, we've got 8-9 minutes here. Commander, you want to get to another one here?
Okay.
Yeah,
this
perfect.
Is a little more, just shorter and
a
little more upbeat.
Before you start, when we get to the after show, everybody, because you'll notice this show is going to be an hour and then there's an after show. We've got a redirect set. The link is in the description and we'll have it in the live chat for you as well. The after show isn't us just goofing around. We're going to finish the stories we didn't get to and goof around a little bit. So it's basically just this show part 2. Commander, go ahead.
Okay, so Mongolia. Dun, 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 dun. They are planning to relocate their capital city from Ulaanbaatar to Karakorum.
Wow.
With the aim to alleviate congestion and pollution while restoring the significance of the old site of the historical Mongolian Empire's capital.
Yeah.
The current capital, Ulaanbaatar, was designed for a population of about 250,000. Today, it is home to over 1.5 million people. The government is planning to spend about $30 billion to develop a new Karakorum, hoping to incorporate modern urban planning features while honoring the historical identity of their ancient capital. New plans envision a sustainable city that is, quote, walkable and environmentally friendly, hoping to solve the 2 biggest problems that are currently faced by the existing capital in Ulaanbaatar. While the idea is appealing, the challenges of resolving underlying structural issues within the Mongolian state will be a task. Success will depend on effective planning and careful execution. Relocation of capitals in modern times has been accomplished by a few other countries, most notably Angola, Brazil, and Tanzania, with mixed results.
Not an easy thing.
No, it isn't. What typically happens is everybody stays in the old capital, and the people who have to work in government offices commute from the old capital to the new one if they can, or get tiny, weak apartments that they stay at and then go home on the weekends back to home in the original city.
I mean, just property values alone are a consideration, let alone kids, schools, yada, blah, blah, and so on. And you're talking about so many people.
Yeah, and not to put a bad name to Mongolia, but you got to realize that the road and railroad structure connecting these two sites, along with other smaller cities and towns in the country, will be a challenge, because Karakoram really is kind of off the beaten path, if you will. So those will all need major restructuring to get it up to code and to work. And I was not able to, when I was researching this story, was able to find anything that suggests that Karakoram currently has what one might call an international airport. So they're probably going to have to build a whole new international airport to support the new capital. So it will be very challenging.
Yeah.
How far away is it? Did you say?
That's a good question. That I didn't look up, and I wish I had now, because as I was reading this, I was like, that's such a bloody obvious question.
Pretend I didn't ask it. Move on.
Okay, you didn't ask, and I won't look it up between now and the after show.
Here, neuralizer flashy thing. There we go. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, Mongolia's decision is being driven by a need to address massive urban growth while strengthening and reconnecting with the nation's historical roots. So, I mean, I wish them luck. I think it's a good thing that they realize there's a problem and they're trying to find a fix for it, and realizing that trying to completely rejigger the way everything works in Ulaanbaatar is probably not the correct solution, because that would, take years and inconvenience everybody.
Engineering and blah.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. But, good luck to them. It'll be interesting to track it.
But isn't moving going to take years?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but moving into new and stuff and whatnot has all the new infrastructures and everything. So if you can pull it off, it is the better option than constant upgrade. But because, I mean, an upgrade cycle is serious disruption to everything, isn't it? Like, it would be a nightmare. It would be like, ripping down the east wing of the White House.
Yeah, when did Brazil move the capital from Rio to Brasilia? And that's been
20
at
years?
least 2 generations, and still even today it's kind of largely unpopulated. Nobody lives there. Everybody still lives in Rio, and
I must admit, I didn't know they did it.
Yeah, exactly. So
didn't you remember the song? The name is Rio and it's the new capital. Don't you remember that?
No, the only one I know is Istanbul, not Constantinople.
And you'll notice in that song they never say it was Byzantium before that. They didn't do their research, damn it.
Nobody knows for the Turks.
Oh, too funny.
Anyway. There's my 2 stories.
We've got a member renewal here. It's not a new member because I know better than that. Big shout out here to NANA for bringing it around again. Love you, buddy. Awesome. And I agree. Bacon. Where are we here for time? Lord Thunder and Jeebus. We're almost there. Dunk's probably going to remind you to do all the funny buttons and stuff for us here, I think.
Oh, do all the funny buttons, all the twiddly ones, all the little bells and whistles that YouTube provide. There's the the like button. There's the share button. Well, yeah, it's not a button, but you can find the share button because it's definitely in there. It's in there. And don't forget to subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And if you haven't subscribed, well, you're already subscribed. Subscribe again using your stock account. We don't care. And just make sure you get into the chat and into the comment section later. Leave a comment because that makes YouTube think that you like us, and we don't care if you like us or not. Leave a comment anyway.
Good show, man. Big shout out to our team here on the Shills. We got Mexi Girl, we got Shayna Caldwell, PJ CNET, AI Alchemist, Chris Lundy, Jose, and Super Chat Matt. And remember, this is just part 1. Part 2 is about to happen. We'll drop you the link right now in the live chat. There's a redirect as well. Come and join us as we dive into a few more things. We got to please the algorithm, so we're going to end by the hour and do some more. It's YouTube.
500 miles.
Yeah.
I just looked it up.
Oh, okay. That's
500 miles. That's huge.
I'm not commuting
You
that.
can commute that in an afternoon.
Yeah, in a
Using our
helicopter.
new supersonic railway.
Yeah. We're not all Cash Patel, you know.
Yeah, Concord
Right.
Part 2, the on rails edition.
Exactly.
All right, we'll see you on Part 2, the after show, whatever the heck you want to call it. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you in 8 minutes. Bye.
Stay shitty.